everybody, and welcome to DIY Filmmaking 200, the Soundwalk series. Today we are going to be covering the following topics: audio effects, we're going to do clip speed and direction, we're going to do reverb, we're going to do delay, and we're going to do pitch. As you can see, I've got DaVinci Resolve open in our projects, and I'm going to click on my O5 Soundwalk here. It may just be Soundwalk for you. We're going to open that up. And as you can see, it launches us in the cut page. We want to go over to the media page, and I'm going to navigate to my sound folder under videos, DIY filmmaking, audio, of course, found sounds. Now we're going to select all of these and we're going to bring them down so that we have them all in our file. And then I'm going to make a bin. I'm going to call this sounds. And I'm going to put all of these clips in my sound bin so they're not clogging up the space. And we're going to look at these effects in the different sounds that we've made. Now I made a nice humming sound, and I think that's a good place to start. So I'm going to right click on the hum. I'm going to create a new timeline using the selected clip. We're going to go with timeline 1. And it's put it, of course, in my sounds folder. I want to take it out of the sounds folder so it's not clogging that up. I'm going to drag it up to master over here. And now when I click on master, you can see I have my sounds bin and I've got this timeline up here, so everything's nicely organized. I'm going to double click on this and it's going to take us over to the edit page. It always takes its time. Now we can do all of our editing of our sounds in our edit page. Before we were using Fairlight, but now I think we're actually going to find it easier to just work in the edit page, and this will help us when we switch to our video effects because we'll get really familiar with the edit page. I'm just going to walk us through this. As you can see, our effects library is open. You can tell because it's highlighted. If I turn that off, you can see I've now got all the space up here at the top. If I want to drag in other sounds, I can do that by going to my media pool and clicking on my sounds, and now I could bring in another sound. Say I'm going to bring in the ticking clock sound. I can drag that down and I can make a new file for it, a new channel for it here. So now I have two channels. I have my humming channel and I have my clock ticking channel. I'm going to click on the solo, and this will make it so that only the humming channel is being worked on. And now, as you can see, we have our effects library. This will give us the different effects that we can bring in. And over here on the left, we have the mixer, which we can open or close. We're going to want that open so we can look at our levels. And we have metadata, which we won't need, and we have the inspector. When I click on the inspector, you can see we already get a couple of very useful tools. We get our volume here, which is the size of our waveform. You can control this volume two ways. One is by dragging on this little white line here, which will pull it up and down, or by sliding the volume slider back and forth. This way we can, throughout this, control our levels. I'm going to set this back to 0. We have pan, which only matters if you have a left and right channel. Since we're using a mono channel for this, that's not going to matter. And then we have clip pitch. And pitch is an effect over here. If we go over to our effects, we have the toolbox, open effects, and then audio effects. Under audio effects is Fairlight effects. If I click on this, you can see these were all the effects that we were using over in the Fairlight page, but we have access to them all right now. You can see pitch is here. I could drag pitch onto this and it brings up the pitch channel. But we actually have pitch already selected in here. Now when I add an effect, like I just added that pitch, and I select my channel, as I scroll down, you can see down here at the bottom, pitch has appeared. We can turn it off and on if we want with this red bar. We can click on this, which is kind of like three little bars together, and that'll bring up the box that has all of the inputs in it. We can control those directly here if we want to. and we can delete it. I'm going to go ahead and delete this because we don't need to use the pitch effect since we have our pitch semitones right up here at the top. I'm going to play through this track so I can listen to my hum. Here I am humming very nicely. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust our pitch. So as we play this through, I'm going to slide the pitch semitones around. You can see when you go into the low tones, it disappears. It gets very low, but the high tones get really interesting. And we have some neat effects there. So that's pitch, very simple way to control what we're doing. I'm going to set that back to 0. And our pitch adjustment is always handy, it's always ready to go, and it's very useful. The next thing we're going to work on is the clip speed and direction. Now that's not an audio effect. Clip speed and direction is actually something we use on our video clips as well. So in order to access clip speed and direction, we have to right click. We get all of our tools up here, and it's right up here in the middle, and it's change clip speed. Go ahead and select that. We're going to be using this a lot. It's a very useful tool. And as you can see, it gives us a bunch of options. The first 3 options all do the same thing, just in a different way. So we can change the frame rate, which will change our speed. We can change the duration of the clip, which will change our speed. Or we can change the speed and percentage, which is what I use most of the time. Now I want to slow this down so that we have more to work with. I'm going to slow it down to 75%. And then, as you can see, we also have this little toggle here, which is pitch correction. So we're going to leave this on and listen to it, and you'll see that it's going to stretch the clip out. But usually when you stretch out audio, it gets lower. What this is going to do is stretch out the audio, but correct the pitch for the stretching. So we're going to go ahead and change that. And now, as you can see, our waveform has changed, and it's kind of clipped off here on the left, because what's happened is it's made this longer, but it's kept the clip the same duration. As you can see, I'm hovering over on the right, and I get this little double bar. This is a stretcher, and as I stretched out, you can see a little invisible clip appears, and that's the new length of the clip. So when we change the clip speed and make it longer, we're going to have to stretch it out always so that we get the new sound. Let's play this through. This is longer, but the pitch is the same. And you can see it's kind of stretching out the vibration in my notes. Let's go with a little longer. So if I go back up here and select it again, it'll remember my previous sequences. So that was 75%. Let's try 50%. Now I made it much longer, so I have to drag it out even further. And let's see how that vibration sounds. There, my voice is really breaking up and getting interesting. Now when I hear something interesting, I like to go a little further. So we're going to change that duration, and not duration, speed. We're going to change speed to 10% just to stretch it way out. As you can see, this goes really far. Grab my bar on the bottom so I can slide back. And let's listen to this. Ooh, now it's not even sounding like a hum. Now it sounds like an airplane. Oh yeah, we're getting some really weird effects going on in there. Now it's kind of inventing tones where there weren't tones before. I'm going to turn my mixer off so that I have a little more space. And I really like that. That's pretty interesting. Let's undo that so we can listen to, change this back to 100%. And now we're going to reverse the clip. Reversing, as you can see, as soon as I click it, it puts a negative on the speed and the frame rate, but it keeps the duration the same. As we change this, it jumps back because we've changed the duration, since we've changed the length of the clip because it's not as slow. And reversing it sounds identical to me. So reversing didn't really do anything interesting to that clip. For reversing, let's pick another clip that's a little more dynamic. I'm going to go up here to my media pool, and I'm going to grab my pew pew sound, which should have a lot of direction to it. I'm going to drag it down to my third channel, and I'm going to solo it. I'm going to turn off the soloing on my top clip, and now my other clips won't play, but I just have my pew pew. You can hear my goofy pew pews. Those sound pretty goofy, but let's listen to them when we reverse them. Go up to change clip speed and hit reverse speed. Changes those to negative, and I change it. Now that sounds very strange. I like this a lot. But it sounds still too much like a voice, so I'm going to go ahead and change the speed. Oops, I did duration again. Change speed. Now I'm going to have to do negative 75. Drag it out. And that's sounding really weird. I'm liking this one a lot. Okay, but I want it to sound less like a voice, so we're going to add some new effects to it. We've got our pitch that we can change, but we know what that's going to do, so it's going to make it higher or lower. Let's try adding some reverb. So I'm going to go up to Effects Library, select Reverb, and pull it down. Now reverb gives us this crazy box here, but really there's only two settings that we're going to use in it. Let's just play it and listen to what it does basically. Now it's sounding like it's in a tunnel. We have our reverb time. We can stretch that out. I'm going to pull it all the way, and we get this real ghosty effect. And then we have our room size, where you can actually change the size of the room. So we could make our room really tall. And we could make it really long. You can actually click these and just drag them out, and that makes the room bigger. I have to go over here and bring my playhead back to the beginning. And this I like a lot. So I'm just going to close this. Well, actually I could toggle it off and on. You can hear the regular weep. And then with the reverb weep. When I close this, once again, I can go over to my inspector here on the right. And as I scroll down, you can see I have reverb. It gives me access to the room height, length, and width, the room size, all of these different selections here. But of course, the only one that we're really using is that is the reverb time. But I don't even know if it gives us access to reverb time over here, so we might just have to open up the dialogue using these little customized buttons. So reverb gives a really wonderful open tone to the sound. We're going to check out delay. So I'm going to turn reverb off so we can listen to this with just delay. But in the end, we're probably going to use all of these effects just so we can mess it up as much as we can. Delay is up here at the top. Select delay, drag it on, and we get our delay box. You can hear a little bit of a delay there. Now the only thing we have access to is this delay time. Gotta bring my playhead back. And then we have this feedback as well. And bring my playhead back again. So we increase the feedback. It's going to modulate that tone as it comes out, the delay tone, make it even stranger. You have two settings on the feedback. You have a positive feedback and a negative feedback. They both give really different tones. You might want to listen to both of them so you can hear what they sound. This is positive feedback. Now we're going to pull it to negative feedback. Both of those are very interesting. I like the negative feedback the most. I'm going to close this down, bring it back. We'll see what tools we have access to if we're just using our inspector over here. We have our delay time slider right here. And we have our left feedback and our right feedback as well, which is if we were using two separate channels. We're only using one channel, so we're getting pretty good work just using the one. And that's our delay. Now we're going to add everything together. We've reversed this, we've added our delay, and we're going to add our reverb. Turn reverb on. There we go. And now we have a very strange ghosty sound. So these are the audio effects that we're using. We're using clip speed and direction, reverb, delay, and pitch. Thanks very much, you guys. Good luck on your project.